Welcome back, fearless explorers of the unknown. Tonight's tale comes from Rafael, a subscriber from Mexico who recounts a harrowing experience as a room service attendant in a grand hotel. The 13th floor of this luxurious establishment is shrouded in dark mystery and chilling legends. Prepare to immerse yourself in a story filled with eerie events, spine-chilling encounters, and a haunting that will leave you questioning reality itself. Buckle up, for this is a journey into the heart of darkness. Dear Mr. Phantom Night, my name is Rafael, and I feel compelled to share a harrowing experience from my time as a room service attendant at a prestigious hotel in Mexico City. This grand hotel was renowned for its opulence and impeccable service, but it held a dark secret, an abandoned 13th floor that was said to be haunted. I hope my story gives you a glimpse into the chilling events that unfolded and the unsettling mysteries that remain unsolved. The hotel was a marvel of architectural elegance, with its grand lobbies, luxurious rooms, and intricate decor. But the 13th floor was an enigma, shrouded in secrecy and whispers. It was a place that had been sealed off for decades, and no one was allowed to access it. The stories about the 13th floor were as varied as they were terrifying. Some said it was haunted by the ghosts of those who had perished under tragic circumstances, while others claimed it was cursed, its dark past forever tainting its corridors. Despite my skepticism about ghost stories, my curiosity about the 13th floor grew stronger over time. The floor was officially non-existent, but the staff spoke in hushed tones about strange occurrences. Lights flickering on their own, disembodied footsteps, and inexplicable cold spots were common themes in the tales they told. As a night shift worker, I often found myself alone in the hotel, and the lure of the 13th floor became irresistible. One particularly cold October night, while making my routine room service deliveries, I began to hear a peculiar noise. A rhythmic tapping that seemed to come from directly above. It was a sound that grew louder and more insistent with each passing minute. The eerie tapping, coupled with the strange stories I had heard, drove me to investigate despite the sense of foreboding that clung to me. Taking a deep breath, I entered the service elevator and pressed the button for the top floor. As the elevator ascended, I felt a chill in the air, and the building seemed to groan under its own weight. The doors opened on the 13th floor, revealing a corridor bathed in an unsettling, flickering light. The hallway was lined with dusty antique furniture and tarnished mirrors that reflected the dim light in distorted ways. The temperature on this floor was noticeably colder, and the oppressive silence was only broken by the occasional creak of the building settling. As I ventured further down the corridor, I noticed that the shadows on the walls seemed to move of their own accord. The air grew colder with each step, and my breath became visible in the freezing temperature. The rhythmic tapping had ceased, replaced by a deafening silence that pressed heavily against my ears. The sense of being watched was overwhelming, and the shadows seemed to twist and stretch, creating unsettling shapes that danced just beyond my line of sight. I reached the end of the hallway where a heavy, ornate door stood ajar. The door's intricate carvings seemed to writhe and shift when I glanced away. The tapping sound had returned, louder and more insistent, coming from within the room. My heart pounded as I pushed the door open, revealing a room frozen in time. The room was vast and grand, with faded wallpaper and antique furnishings covered in thick layers of dust. A grand piano stood prominently in the center, its keys yellowed and grimy. The air in the room was frigid, and an oppressive silence hung heavily over the space. The room seemed to be a relic of a bygone era, its opulence now a haunting memory. As I approached the piano, a series of unsettling events unfolded. The temperature dropped even further, and I began to hear faint whispers that seemed to come from every direction. The whispers were indecipherable, their tone urgent and filled with anguish. The piano's keys began to move on their own, producing a haunting melody that resonated with the cold, oppressive air. Without warning, the room's lights flickered violently, casting erratic shadows that twisted and writhed across the walls. I caught fleeting glimpses of dark figures darting just out of my line of sight. The flickering light created an atmosphere of intense dread, as if the darkness itself were alive and eager to consume me. The whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony of agonized cries. I could feel an icy draft brush against my skin, and a low, guttural growl emanated from somewhere near the floor. My flashlight, which had been flickering intermittently, finally gave out, plunging me into complete darkness. The only light came from the occasional flicker of the emergency bulbs, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move with a malevolent intent. In the pitch-black room, I heard a series of rapid, disorienting noises, scraping sounds, dragging footsteps, and a rhythmic banging that seemed to come from beneath the floorboards. The whispers grew more frantic, and the air was filled with a palpable sense of terror. The shadows seemed to converge on me, and I could feel an icy grip on my arm as if something was reaching out from the darkness. I turned to see the grand piano's lid slam shut with a thunderous bang. The sound reverberated through the room, followed by an explosion of discordant notes that filled the air with a sense of impending doom. The cacophony of noises reached a fever pitch, and I felt an overwhelming urge to escape. I stumbled backward, my heart racing as I tried to find the door. The door I had entered through was now firmly shut, and no amount of pulling or pushing could open it. The oppressive darkness seemed to press in from all sides, and the temperature dropped even further. The whispers turned into anguished wails, and the shadows seemed to close in around me, their movements erratic and sinister. In the dim light, I noticed a figure in the mirror, a woman with hollow eyes and a gaunt face. Her mouth was open in a silent scream, and her hands pressed against the glass as if reaching out to me. Her reflection shifted, her expression changing from anguish to rage. The sight was so disturbing that I felt a chill run down my spine. As I tried to regain my composure, a sudden intense cold engulfed the room. I felt as if the air had been sucked out, leaving me gasping for breath. The temperature dropped dramatically, and I could see my breath forming in the freezing air. I heard a low rumbling sound that seemed to come from the very walls of the room. The noise grew louder and more intense, creating a feeling of impending doom. Desperate to escape, I grabbed the door handle and yanked it open with all my strength. The hallway beyond was pitch black, and I could barely make out the faint outline of the service elevator at the end of the corridor. The darkness seemed to reach out and pull at me, and I felt an icy grip on my arm as I sprinted toward the elevator. As I reached the elevator, the lights flickered erratically, casting unsettling shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own. I pressed the button frantically, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The elevator doors finally opened, and I stumbled inside, pressing the button for the main lobby. The elevator descended slowly, the walls trembling as if the building itself were alive and breathing. The descent felt eternal, and the oppressive weight of the darkness pressed heavily on my shoulders. The whispers and cries seemed to follow me, their anguished tones echoing in the confined space. When the elevator doors finally opened on the 12th floor, I rushed out, my heart pounding in my chest. I ran to the main lobby, my footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. I glanced back at the 13th floor, now shrouded in impenetrable darkness. The sense of dread and terror that had consumed me on the 13th floor lingered as I left the hotel that night. The memories of that night have haunted me ever since, and I never returned to that floor. In the days that followed, I learned that the 13th floor had been permanently sealed off, and no one was allowed to access it. The stories about the ghostly figure and the eerie noises continued, but no one dared to investigate further. The hotel's management maintained a facade of normalcy, but the sense of dread that surrounded the 13th floor remained an unspoken truth. Thank you for allowing me to share this story. It serves as a chilling reminder of how the past can cast long shadows on the present, and how some places are better left undisturbed. The 13th floor remains a dark and mysterious enigma, its secrets hidden away from the world. Raphael's story is a haunting testament to the hidden terrors that can lie behind the facade of even the most luxurious places. The 13th floor, with its dark past and eerie occurrences, serves as a powerful reminder of the shadows that linger in forgotten spaces. If you found this story as chilling as I did, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more tales that delve into the unknown. Don't forget to like and share this video with others who enjoy exploring the darker side of history. Remember, sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we can't fully understand. Until next time, stay curious and stay cautious.